All right, Croven here with Rias Nia for the first match of the finals weekend of Alliance Tournament 7, Goonswarm versus Dystopia Alliance. Goonswarm has brought two Nightmares, two Golems, a Vulture, and two Thrashers.
And it looks like we've got, for the Dystopia Alliance, I'm seeing a Basilisk, a Drake, let's see, a Rook, two Curses, I believe that's a Cyclone, and a Battle Badger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I miss the two Brutixes?
And two Brutixes, yeah. Yeah. And we've got the 10-second countdown in local. Now we're down to 5 seconds, and the match is just about ready to begin. The Goons have all come in very close, right next to Claw's lovely Tribal Tempest, and we are go.
Now, right now, I think I wouldn't be able to contain myself. I'd be attempting to shoot that Tribal Tempest, but I know Claw has probably got some tricks up his sleeves. We've got, looks like some sensor dampening, possibly tracking disruptor coming from one team here. And lots of drones on the field, some Warrior 2s, Valkyrie 2s coming out for the Dystopia Alliance. Looks like they're focusing mostly on damage. Looks like Goons have launched a few drones, mostly hammerheads. Not a whole lot of real action just yet.
Yeah, well, we are seeing that Rook for Dystopia Alliance. He's down to about half shields already, and we are seeing that E-War flying around. Now, if that is tracking disruptors on those Nightmares, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, they're most likely pulse-fitted Nightmares. They're going to be doing a whole lot of damage. They've definitely got an incredible volley strike. But, you know, those tracking disruptors can have a pretty strong effect against just about any turret-based ship.
Absolutely, and we've just lost one of the Thrashers for Goonswarm. It had been webbed, and now it is gone. The other Thrasher's in a little bit of trouble, but he doesn't appear to be tackled. And he's actually burned away from the fight a little bit. Meanwhile, one of the Goon Golems now has taken some shield damage. He's still holding at about 3/4, but he is tackled and webbed, and those battle cruisers are right on top of him.
Now it looks like the tracking disrupting is really having effect for the Dystopia team. They really haven't taken a whole lot of damage. The Battle Badger still kicking around, no problems. Now the interesting thing is the Goons did swap their setup just a little bit. In their previous match where they fielded the two Nightmares, two Golems, they actually had a Scimitar. This time they've swapped that out for a Vulture. Probably going to be running a Mind Link and hopefully, you know, boosting those shields. Just definitely changes their strategy a little bit.
Well, but in the meantime, it doesn't seem to be helping because that Golem is in quite a bit of trouble now, almost out of shields. And we could see in the very first match an enormous upset as the 32 seed seems to be really taking it to the #1 seeded Goonswarm right now. And many people's heavy favorites is that Golem now in deep armor, and he is just about to go down.
Now it looks like that Golem was doing a couple last-ditch smart bombs. He probably can't do a whole lot more, seeing as his cap is being heavily neutered from those curses. It's pretty much not going to be very long for that Golem. He's about to pop. There we go. So Dystopia Alliance already taking out a lot of DPS for the Goonswarm team. That's going to change things a whole lot. I mean, it's going to be a tough fight from here on out.
Absolutely, but by no means over, as we've lost the second Thrasher for Goonswarm now. The Rook for Dystopia Alliance now taking a little bit more fire, but being held up by Tyrax Thork's Basilisk without any real difficulty. Also some cap transfer going back and forth there so that Rook can keep jamming indefinitely, is now the second Golem from Goonswarm beginning to take damage as well.
Yeah, Tyrax is pretty well known for usually bringing very expensive ships and setups. I'm impressed that he actually dipped into his wallet for you know, so little this time. But he's also a very good Basilisk pilot, doing a really great job keeping his team alive. And you know, we've seen him do this previously in the last couple of matches. They didn't change their setup too much, although they've gone to the high DPS battle cruisers rather than using the heavy E-warfare they fielded in the last couple of fights.
Yeah, and the Goons seem to have fallen prey to the trap that has caught a couple of other teams as well, which is, you know, being too complacent in their setups. We've seen that in tournaments past. Good teams just not performing because they don't change it up when it comes time for the finals weekend. And now we're looking at those two Nightmares right now, and I mean, are either of those firing?
You know, I haven't gotten a really good look. There is some fire. It looks like they're still being tracking disrupted pretty heavily. They're not firing nearly as much as I would expect. I'd like to get a look at the curses here in a second if we can, and see whether or not they've got neutralizers on both of those guys, or if it's just just tracking disrupting? Looks like it's just tracking disrupting right now. I don't really see a whole lot of NOS or neutralizing happening.
Yeah, and we have lost that second golem now, that's where the newts seemed to be located, was on that golem. Now we're seeing one of the Brutixes for Dystopia Alliance has lost all of his shields, probably took a torp volley, well, not anymore, probably took a volley from those nightmares and is a little bit worse for the wear as a result of it. Now we are seeing those nightmares. Yeah, they're real close in on this Brutix now. These Brutixes are shield tanking neutron Brutixes, so they're being held up by the Basilisk a little bit, but this one already got volleyed into about half armor, but is being repped up pretty handily, as now we're seeing the first Nightmare for Goonswarm starting to lose shields, and he is tackled in web now as well.
Now this is some really good target calling on the part of Dystopia Alliance. By taking the golems out first, which don't receive any sort of negative penalty from the tracking disrupting, their torps obviously not affected by that. By focusing their DPS on those ships first, they've effectively taken out not only 2 very large tanks, but a lot of damage on the field, while still maintaining their tracking disrupting on those nightmares, which mitigates most of the damage left for the Goonswarm team. I mean, the Vulture not obviously taking any, Lord Mix, you know, hitting armor. So it really looks like this is going to be about it for Goonswarm. They've been a lot of fun to watch. They brought some really great setups, but they're just not going to, it doesn't look like they're going to have nearly enough.
Yeah, and that Nightmare down all the way through armor now, so a very expensive ship about to go down, and a heavy favorite for many people is probably going to be out here within the next couple minutes, as now Lord Mix half structure and going down. Those curses now able to focus their newts and their tracking disruptors on these nightmares, rendering them completely useless at this point as Lord Mix goes down.
And you know what? It looks like someone in Goonswarm may have been paid to take a dive. Right now in local, I am reading, it looks like Terex may have actually paid someone. Now, it could just be the goons being, you know, goons. But yeah, I mean, it looks like the goons, someone in the goons may have actually been paid to take a dive.
I'm not sure that I'd buy into that theory that quickly, as this is Guiding Hand Social Club that we're talking about here. At the same time, though, you know, we're seeing, as I said, you know, you bring the same setup. While it was very successful in week 1, you give a team a chance to prepare against it, and you're basically asking for trouble now, as we're down to the single Nightmare and the Vulture remaining for the Goonswarm team, with the entire team still on the field for Dystopia Alliance. This is Tyrex's teams this tournament have been fond of bringing at least 2 of the Amarian Recons. Of course, they brought 4 in their last match, but all the same, against turret-heavy setups, those curses, both with their neuting and tracking disrupting capabilities, are going to be very, very effective at neutralizing these very high-damage ships.
It's going to be a total shame to see these Nightmares go down. They really are a beautiful ship. They're a great ship to fly. I know I've seen them flown around in Vito for a few years, and they're just a fantastic model, if nothing else. Right now, the final Nightmare for the Goons, losing pretty much all his shields. He's webbed, he's neutralized, he's tracking disrupted. I don't see him even firing at the moment. Probably doesn't even have enough cap to keep his guns going. His hardeners are still active, but that's not going to do anything with no shields.
No, and with 2 Brutixes and a Cyclone, you know, riding on top of you, you're not going to make it much longer, even with a pretty hefty shield tank. He's obviously not going to be able to boost, even if he does have a booster fitted with those curses on him. So, and he's just about to go down, and it'll be just the Vulture remaining for Goonswarm, and down he goes. And you know, throne match or not, I think it's very safe to say that there are billions and billions of ISK being lost by people gambling on this match, as Goonswarm came in, by many people, the favorite to win the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. I had them selected on my personal list as a favorite. I'm honestly shocked. I did not expect Dystopia to do so well. If they did, you know, pay a significant amount of money, props to them. I mean, it's a fair way to win a game in this tournament.
Yeah, maybe that's why they brought Tier 1 battlecruisers. Tyrax spent all his bling money on paying goons to throw the match.
Well, and you know, they could just continue using a strategy like this of high DPS with really effective shield repping coming from Tyrex in his Basilisk to get them all the way into the very finals. And then who knows, Tyrex may bring out some of his more expensive toys. He certainly has in the past. He's not afraid to use the nice shiny ships in combat, and he's certainly not afraid to lose them. So if previous tournaments have been any indication, we could see some really, really interesting fights later on out of him.
Absolutely. That Vulture now, the only ship staying up for Goonswarm at the moment, not really taking any damage from the Dystopia team. Obviously, those Dystopia ships tend to be pretty close-range setups, and that Vulture is rocketing around the arena at about 1,100 meters per second. So he's staying out of the range of a lot of the damage of the Dystopia team here, but at this point it's just a matter of time. Maybe try to save that Vulture for a fleet op later on.
More likely they're just trying to deny Dystopia some points. Looks like he is getting neutralized pretty heavily now by the Brutix and the Cyclone, so I don't think he's going to be able to keep that micro-warp drive running, and no, he's already dropping down to about 160 meters a second. They've got him webbed. That's about it. I mean, it's just going to be, you know, grinding through whatever tank he has fit, and you know, hopefully potting. Oh no, I didn't say that at the very end.
Got a hold of him, and now the Brutixes are on top of him. He's going down very slowly. As we've said many times, the Vulture capable of a very sturdy shield tank, but it's just not going to be enough against these battle cruisers. He will go down and is probably jammed by that Rook at this point.
Yeah.
Vulture, not a great DPS ship regardless, but so it's going to be a flawless victory for Dystopia. Obviously, at this point, it's just down to elimination. It's whether or not you win. You don't have to do it pretty. You don't have to do it perfect. But Dystopia seems to have managed both in this round, as we're seeing that Vulture down to about... Oh, no! The Vulture has activated self-destruct, so we have 2 minutes until this Vulture pops of his own accord, denying Dystopia the glory of bringing him down. But I'm not sure he's going to last that long, as he's in half shields already.
Classic Goon, and fantastic to watch. I mean, it makes for an interesting match early on. We're seeing some pretty heavy self-destruct. Ooh, did we just
no, that's one of the Dystopia Brutixes has also initiated self-destruct. So obviously the Vulture self-destruct will go down first, but Dystopia didn't want him to feel lonely, so they're self-destructing one of their Brutixes as well.
Either that, or they feel so confident about moving on in this match that they're not worried about any points.
Well, I mean, like I said, at this point it's just down to elimination. We're in a tournament bracket, but now we've got that Vulture down 1/3 armor, no armor, and oh no, the Brutix stopped his self-destruct. Wuss.
Yeah.
And the Vulture goes pop. So a flawless victory, barring an aborted self-destruct by Dystopia Alliance. Flawless victory for Dystopia. So well done there, and Tyrex moves on.
So back to you in the studio.